Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to another beautiful tutorial. It's me, IJ, and here is IJ Designs. I would like to say a very big thank you to my returning subscribers. You all are the best. May God bless you all for supporting me, for checking back on my channel. May God bless you all in every of your endeavors in Jesus' name. Amen. Today's tutorial is about a party gown. We are going to make this layer. We are going to learn how to cut and sew this party gown. It will be a monostripe long party gown. The gown will be divided into two. The upper part will be a bustier, but it's going to be a monostripe with one sleeve and the other sleeve without sleeve. And also, the down part of it is going to be a trumpet kind of skirt. So we are going to learn how to achieve it. As you can see, it is right behind me on the screen. So that is the party gown we are going to achieve today. It's very easy. So without wasting much of your time, let us get started. I'm going to use this beautiful lace to achieve it. I'm not going to show to you guys how I cut the upper part of it because I've made a well-detailed video on how to draft a basic bustier pattern. I've made a video on that. I will link it to this video so that you can check it out to also draft your bustier pattern so that you use it to achieve this. We are going to concentrate on the lower part of this gown, which is the trumpet side of it. That is where we are going to concentrate more. I've made a video on how to cut a monostripe before, and also I've made a video on how to make a princess bustier blouse, or also how to draft it. So I'm going to link all this to this video so that you can also achieve yours. So now let us get started. So I'm going to place my lace to achieve my trumpet part of it. That is the gown. It will be a flowing one. You can call it a trumpet part of it, or you can call it a fish part because it's going to flow. It's a birthday gown, so we are going to make it to look beautiful for this client. So I'm going to fold my lace. Now guys, I have folded my lace in two. So now is to insert our measurements. Remember, we are concentrating on the lower part of this gown, which is the trumpet part of it. That is the lower side of the gown. The upper side is a princess bustier pattern, which I have made a detailed video on how to cut it. So I'm going to cut it out. When joining them together, I'm going to show to you guys how you can achieve this beautiful monostripe pattern of the front part of it. I'm going to show to you guys by cutting it out. I'm not going to show how I cut it out, but fixing it together, achieving the monostripe, we are going to see step by step how to achieve that. So now we are concentrating on cutting the down part of it, which is the trumpet skirt. So now I'm going to place my tape. The measurement we are using, the measurement of the gown we are using is 62. And my half length, which I'm going to use, is 17. That is the upper part of it. The bustier princess dart that I'm going to use is 17 inches. From the shoulder to the waist is 17. So now I'm going to place my tape. So 17 minus 17 from 6 of it is going to be 45. But because we want it to flow more, we are going to add some inches, maybe 2 inches, but the concentration will be at the back because the back is going to flow well. So now I'm going to measure 47 inches. So how do I measure that? I'm going to start. This is the starting point. Remember, we are going to use the good side of this. We are going to use this down part of it. We are not going to cut it. This is the down part of it we are going to use, which is the beautiful design that it has. We are going to use it. So now I'm going to place my tape. This is now 45, but I'm going to go add more 2 inches to it. So it's going to be 47. So I placed my 47 at the end of this beautiful part of the lace, and I came up to the starting point, which is here. Here is the starting point. Now guys, here is the starting point. Let us mark the starting point. Here is the starting point. So we are going to measure out our 47, which is the second part of the gown we are making. This is 47. Here is 47. And also here is 47. And also here is 47. So I now give it a proper line. So here is 47. So now the next thing to do is to insert our measurement. So now the upper part of it, from shoulder to the waist, the half length is 17 inches. So I'm going to now place my 17 inches on this starting point in order to get my down measurement. So here, this is my 17 inches, which I placed on the starting point. I placed my 17 inches on the starting point, plus half-inch seam allowance. When I'll be cutting it, I'll add this half seam allowance to join it to the upper part of it. So now, from the shoulder to the waist, from the shoulder to the hip, now we are going to the, from shoulder to the hip is 24. So we are going to mark our 24 here. Here is our 24. And also, here is our 24. That is from the shoulder. So, and also from the shoulder to the knee. From the shoulder to the knee is 32 inches. Here, from the shoulder to the knee is 32. From the shoulder to the knee is 32. So I'm going to give them a straight line. Made it to the straight line. This line is the hip, and this here is the knee line where the gown will start to flow. This is the knee where the gown will start to flow. And now the measurement we are using for the hip is hip 45, and 45 divided by 4 is going to give us 11.5. And I don't want to add much allowance to it, so I'm going to add only 1.5 inch for turning it to the lining and also closing it up. I want it to be fitted, so now I mark my 13 inches at the hip. I marked my 13 inches at the hip. And now on this hip, we are going to reduce some inches from this hip to mark at the knee. But first, let us determine the waist. The waist we are working with is waist 38. 38 divided by 4 is going to give us 9.5. And now we add extra 1.5, which is 11, and we mark our 11 inches. So at the knee area, we are going to reduce 2 inches from the 13 inches that we had at the hip. So now at the knee area here, I'm going to mark 11 inches because I want it to be fitted. That is why I'm going to reduce 2 inches. Now on this knee area, I'm going to place 11 inches. Remember, I had 13 inches on my hip, and on these 13 inches, I take away 2 inches to place 11 inches at my knee. So now I'm placing my 11 inches. So here is my 11 inches. Here is my 11 inches. I've placed 11 inches at the knee area because I want it to be fitted. So from this 11 inches now, I'm going to go up with 2 inches. Now I'm connecting it from the waist to the hip and from the hip to the knee. So now I'm connecting it together so that we'll now make our shape before we now determine how wide we are going to use at the hem. So now I'm connecting it from the hip to the knee. From this knee that I've connected it to, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. Remember, if you don't go up by 2 inches, the person cannot be able to walk freely, except it is photo shoot. But since it is to walk, I'm going to take away 2 inches from the length of the hip to the knee. So I'm going up by 2 inches, which I'm marking now. From these 2 inches, I will now connect it to the hem of our gown. And this hem of our gown, I'm going to check what I have for the hip. Remember, the hip we had 13 inches. Both seam allowance 13 inches. I'm going to bring it down to the hem and also add extra 14 inches so that it can flow freely. It can be wide enough that I want at the hem. So in total, at the hem, I have 27 inches. 14 inches which I added as extra allowance plus 13 inches of the hip is 27 inches. So at this hem of our gown, we are making use of 27 inches because we want it to flow. So I will now connect from the knee where I came up by 2. So from this knee now, I'm going to connect to this hem of the skirt. So now from here, I'm going to connect to that 2 inches we came up from the knee. So let's now connect it. Because it's lace, I will not like to reduce anything here. I'll leave it. Maybe while sewing it, I'll now adjust it. So now we are going to cut it out. Do you see the front panel? I have cut it out. So I'm going to use this front panel now to cut out the back panel. But on the back panel, on the zip side, I'm going to add also extra 14 inches like the front because I want it to have a tail at the back. So I'm going to show to you guys how also to achieve that. Now, I have placed it to the material to cut out the back panel. But this back panel, I want the tail. That is, I want it to have tail at the back. So now I'm going to add 1.5 inch for the zip allowance. This is my 1.5 inch as my zip allowance. This is my 1.5 inch as my zip allowance at the back. I'll measure it down to the area where we came up with 2 inches. Remember, we came up here with 2 inches from the knee. We came up so that the person can walk. So I'll measure it there. So when I measure from here to the waist, is 13 inches. So at this back, I'm going to measure 13 inches also, where the flow will start. Do you see it? Here is the 13 inches from the waist at the back. So my zip allowance, my zip line is just from the waist till a little below the hip, which is 8 inches from the waist. My zip is 8 inches, that is here. So from the waist at the back up to where we came up with 2 inches in the knee is 13 inches. So from this 13 inches now, from this 13 inches from the waist to where we want it to stop, I'm going to go up by 2 inches because I want it to be fitted, I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch at the back so that the back will be fitted. So now I'm going to connect it from the 1.5 inch allowance. I connect to the 1/2 inch that I came in at the back for the fitting at the back. So from this 1/2 inch now, I'm going to connect it to this end. So from the 1/2 inch now, I'm going to connect it to this end to make the tail, because I want it to have a tail. Do you see it? It's a bit difficult because it's a lace, but I'm going to make another tutorial on how to make a trumpet skirt so that you can see it properly with a plain material. So do you see it? From this 1/2 inch I came in so that it has shape at the back. I now connected it to the end of the 20 inches we added at the back, because I want it to flow at the back also. So now we are going to cut it out. Now guys, do you see it? That's the front and that's the back. So when we sew it, this back will be the tail. Do you see it? When we sew it up, this. Now when we sew it, this back will be the tail at the back. It will make it to flow more. So now I'm going to use this to cut out the lining, after which we will now start fixing our panels together. I will now show you guys the upper part of it. Then we'll now fixing it together to achieve our party gown. Now guys, I have cut out the lining. It's going to have a double lining because of the transparency of the lace we are using. So I have now used the panels, the front and the back panel, to cut out the lining. I've done that. And also, like I said, I will show you how I cut it, but I used already drafted panel. If you don't know how to draft this, that is the Princess Bustier block. If you don't know how to draft it, I'll link the video in the description box below for you to watch and also draft to achieve the upper part of this blouse. So I now use this to cut out the upper part of the blouse, which is all these that we are now seeing here. Even one of the lining, because it's going to be a double lining also, I have fixed it for you to know or see how it's going to look. So this is the lining. Do you see it? I have fixed it. That's the front panel and that's the back panel. So I have fixed it to show to you guys the Princess Bustier pattern that we are going to use to achieve this monostripe party gown that we are making. If you see, there is no neckline because we are going to open it up. After I have joined the front, we are going to open the front and the back, open it up, and now drive our monostripe on the neck. That is why it doesn't have any neckline, maybe round neck or V-neck, or no. We are going to open it up in this form and we are going to now drive our monostripe. But I'm going to show to you guys step by step. So the next thing to do now is to join the down part of it. That is the down part of it we are making. The trumpet skirt, we are going to join them together. And also the blouse, that is the lace, we are going to use this lining to cover it up. So I'm going to join both the upper part and the lower part. I'm going to join them together. Then I'll come back for us to derive the monostripe in the front and also at the back. Now guys, I have joined the front panel, the 3 panels of the front. I've joined them together, and also that of the back. I've also joined them together. So the next thing now is to derive our monostripe sleeve. So I'm going to take the front. This is the front, and also the back. I'm going to take both of them, place it together. I've already secured my zip allowance with pin. So now I'll face the two wrong side facing each other because we want to achieve our mono stripe. Remember, we did not cut up open the sleeve. So now I'm going to place it in this form. So I'm going to place it in this form. Do you see it? So I'll now determine the sides that I want the mono stripe to be. The mono stripe will be at the right hand side, that is this side. So now I'm going to, from this point that we notched while cutting the material, from here I'm going to now derive the mono stripe. You have to know how many inches you want. Like this, I want it to be deep by 6 inches. So I'm going to measure from the shoulder to my 6 inches. Here is my 6 inches. Here is my 6 inches. This is my 6 inches. Here is my 6 inches. So now from this area, from this shoulder area, I'm going to now curve it to come to this side. Then I'm going to cut it off both the front and the back. So now I'm going to cut it out in this form. If you want, you can use your hip curve to achieve this. Just place it in this form and it comes to the armhole. So now I'm going to cut it out in this form. So now I'm going to cut off this. I'm going to cut off this area. I'm going to cut off this area. After which I will now do the same to the lining and now use the lining to turn the gown so that way. Now I'm going to cut at 5.5 inches instead of 6 inches because we have to use the ½ inch to turn the lining. So now let us cut it out. Now guys, we have cut out our mono stripe. Do you see it? The front and the back, we cut it together. Do you see it? I have cut it out. So the next thing now is to use the lining to turn it over. Then I'll close the two sides and fix our sleeve, and then our mono stripe gown is ready. I'll show it to you guys. Now guys, our gown is ready. Do you see it? Do you see how beautiful the mono stripe is looking? I've turned it with the lining and also add one of the sleeve because it's going to have only one sleeve. On this side, there is no sleeve. That is the right hand side. So now the gown is ready. So I'm going to put it onto the mannequin for us to see how it looks like. If you have not subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe, hit on the notification bell, that whenever I upload, you'll be the first to be notified. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Now guys, can you see the difference between this gown and the other time? Now I have used patches to cover up the half length, so you cannot say it per the patches. You can also decide to do yours in this form. In any way, it looks beautiful. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and share my videos, and see you in my next video. Bye.